everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for the 2025 seed round of the Stumberg Venture Competition. I am Carmen Aramanda, and I'm the director for the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Please, let's start by offering our sincere thanks to the Stumberg family for choosing to honor the late businessman and civic leader, Louis H. Stumberg, a food industry pioneer. In 1946, he co-founded Patio Mexican Foods, a company that took frozen Tex-Mex foods nationwide. Mr. Stumberg was a dedicated member of Trinity's Board of Trustees and held leadership positions with numerous organizations, such as the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce, the United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County, Alamo Area Council of Boy Scouts, as mayor of Terrell Hills, and a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. He gave generously of his time and treasure and was instrumental in helping build San Antonio's business and civic life. Please join me in a round of applause thanking the entire Stumberg family for their steadfast support of Trinity and student innovation. Okay, so to give you a sense of what you can expect tonight, we're going to start with some introductions. And then you'll be hearing from 8 student teams who have 7 minutes to pitch, right? So they worked really hard to get here. That's what that video is about. And then the judges will take 5 minutes to ask them a couple of critical questions. After that, the judges will then have 2 minutes to input their scores. So we're calculating all of that on the side. And that 2 minutes is time you have to write down what you want to talk to the teams about during the reception, right? So that's kind of what you have to look forward to, got the timeline. The teams will be announced, the winning teams will be announced in the reception, and that's going to be a great place for you to ask questions that you've been thinking about. So I mentioned the numbers, right? So how teams are being evaluated, they submitted some materials to the judges in advance of today. So the judges have already read an executive summary, a lean business model canvas, and any additional materials that the teams wanted the judges to consider, and that's worth 20% of their final score. There's also a formal presentation, that's what we're here for, right? And that's going to be worth 30%, and that's going to be both how they answer the judges' questions as well as how well they put together their deck and present their idea. And the final 50% is going to be based on the viability of the company. So that one, obviously the most important one, right? So it's going to include market opportunity, distinctive competence, like competitive advantage, and the capability of the founding team to bring that venture to market. So that's how they're going to be looking at all of this. Now, the next thing I want to ask you to do is join me in recognizing my team who's been working since November to make today happen, working with our teams, running pitch practices, bringing our amazing volunteers who are in the program, so please read the program, bringing our amazing volunteers together to help the teams prepare for today. They are Liz, Elsa, Chad, Sherry, Matt, and our interns, Maddie, Barbara, Samya, Jose, Melina, Antonia, and Gabe. It takes a small army to make a special event like this possible. So we're really grateful, y'all, for being here. They're all standing up in that corner if you're watching over there. All right, so this is Trinity University. We teach students to be leaders here. As such, we decided this should be a student-focused event. I'll be here working with the judges, but Maddie's your MC tonight. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Madeline Gonzalez.
Hello everyone, if we haven't met already, my name is Madeline Gonzalez, and I'm a 4th year graduating this May with a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and a minor in Entrepreneurship. I'm currently a design and event professional with expertise in creative design, social media management, and program coordination. I serve as the design lead for Sarah Stumberg Walker, where I specialize in curating custom event experiences and managing our brand's digital presence. Previously, I worked as the director of creative design and social media strategist for Sage and Linen Events, and gained experience as an executive assistant for Hustle and Socialize in San Antonio, where I managed operations, client communications, and event logistics. In addition, I expanded my skills in entrepreneurship and program coordination as a program assistant and social media intern with the Trinity University Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. The teams competing today represent accounting, business analytics, communication, computer science, engineering science, finance, human resource management, marketing, and neuroscience majors. Our entrepreneurs are extremely well-rounded and deeply engaged in the Trinity community, representing football, track teams, club volleyball, tennis and soccer, resident assistants, real estate club, fishing club, ultimate frisbee, the Trinitonian, Trinity Women in STEM and Technology, Science and Technology, Student Wellness Board, Gamma Chi Delta, cheerleading, Bengal Lancers, American Marketing Association, and Rotaract, to name a few. Tonight, 5 teams will be awarded $5,000 in seed funding. Ooh, ah. All Trinity students are now invited into the Trinity Accelerator program, whether or not they are finalists in this competition. During the Accelerator, teams will attend hours of educational workshops, multiple networking events, and work full-time on their businesses. I'm confident that you'll have great questions for the team tonight, but please hold them for the reception. The Q&A during the program is reserved only for the judges. Now, let's meet the Stumberg Seed Round judges, who will be determining which 5 teams will be awarded a $5,000 seed prize. Ileana Gonzalez is the CEO of TechBlock, leading San Antonio's tech community. With 7 years of experience in startups and venture capital, she excels in scaling businesses and fostering collaboration among tech companies, startups, and institutions. Before TechBlock, Ileana was a venture associate at Techstars, connecting pre-seed startups with investors. She holds a BBA in entrepreneurship from UTSA, where she also served as student body president. Passionate about tech and community building, Ileana is dedicated to elevating San Antonio as a leading tech hub. Jimmy Holmes is the president and publisher of the San Antonio Business Journal, leading the publication since October 2013. With over a decade at the helm, Jimmy connects the South Texas business community with critical news, intelligence, and business development opportunities. Overseeing all aspects of the newspaper, website, and events, he manages editorial advertising, circulation, marketing, production, and finance to drive the publication's growth and impact in the region, and is a proud Trinity parent. Jacob Harrell Zeidelman founded Quick Sip Coffee along with his wife, Selena Davila, out of his Trinity dorm room in 2017. Brewing on Jacob's dorm desk didn't last long, though. In 2018, Jacob and Selena won the Stumberg Competition Grand Prize. By 2019, the duo had built their own cold brew coffee manufacturing facility and distribution center in San Antonio. Just 1 year after finishing the build-out, the brand launched its products in Central Market stores across the state of Texas. In 2020, Quick Sip expanded its reach by launching in H-E-B stores in South Texas. Jacob has since moved on to lead beverage development for Texas's most iconic burger brand, Whataburger. He takes his culinary manufacturing and distribution knowledge that he gained while growing Quick Sip to impact over 1,000 restaurants across the United States. Jacob is proud to play a large part in every new beverage that hits the Whataburger menus. Dr. Shantana Robinson has over 25 years of experience, during which time she has assisted over 800 businesses. Dr. Shea recently received the SABOC MedWeek Contracting Excellence Award and was named NABO Women Business Owner of the Year. She was inducted into the esteemed Bow Collective, which is an organization and sisterhood of the nation's top 1% of small business owners. Dr. Shea is also a graduate of the NMSDC MBE Center Capital Readiness Program and NASDAQ Milestone Makers Class of 2024. She is also an active mentor within our very own Trinity University Venture Mentoring Service, which you can learn more about on page 2 of this evening's program. Charles Wooden is the CEO of Geekdom, a startup incubator dedicated to growing San Antonio's entrepreneurial ecosystem. Charles joined Geekdom in 2017 as a business development manager, grew into the membership director role, and was appointed a CEO in 2019.
It is your pets.
Yeah, I was in there yesterday, I swear to God.
Technical difficulties, I'm sorry. A former U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant, Charles served as an airborne cryptologic language analyst for 8 years, specializing in intelligence collection and training. Originally from Michigan, Charles now calls San Antonio home, where he's deeply committed to its growth. Outside of work, he enjoys traveling, hiking national parks, and spending time with his daughters, Penelope and Amelia. Please help me welcome Provost Mustaine to the stage.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know. Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. It's really an honor to have you all here. And when we hear from our teams, it's, for me anyway, even more of an honor to be in their presence. I want to echo Carmen's thanks to our judges in particular. Thank you all for being here and being a part of this. This is an important part of what Trinity does. And also, thank you, Herb Stumberg, and to the Stumberg family for making this possible. This has been, the Stumberg Prize has been a transformative thing for Trinity University, and we're really proud to have your name on it. So, thank you, Herb. Also, echoing Carmen's thanks for the entrepreneurship team. And that is the staff here, our student workers, our many community volunteers, the venture mentors, all the folks who put in a lot of time and energy and talent into making this entrepreneurship program and the Stumberg event and the accelerator and all the things that get attached to it really successful. Thank you for your time, thank you for your passion, and thank you for your talent. We appreciate it very much. And this is not about any of them. This is about our students. So I'm now going to speak on Trinity's behalf, and I hope you'll join me in expressing our pride for the student groups who are competing here. So we've got 8 teams, 5 of which, right? Okay, 8 teams, 7 minutes, 5 winners of $5,000 each. And win or lose, all of that. I want to say how inspired I am by what these teams have already done. And I'm inspired by what you're about to do this evening. This is scary. Don't be scared. It's going to be fun. And also, right, I mean, this is, you are about to stand in front of a whole group of people, some of whom you know, some of whom you don't. I will tell you this just so you hear me say it, all of whom love you. And share something that you really care about and that you put a lot of time and energy and passion into. And doing that is a hard thing to do. I am inspired by your courage in doing it. Thank you for that. And here's the thing about what our students are doing tonight, or what we're seeing them do tonight. And that is they're seeing a need in the world. They're noticing it. That's a hard thing to do, to notice needs. In particular, needs that other people have. I'm really good at knowing my own. They just come to me like hunger and stuff. But other people's needs, right? I have to really work to notice those. And the students you see here tonight have noticed those. And then they didn't just notice them and say, huh, cool, and then go to their chemistry class. They looked at that need and they said to themselves, I can do something about that. And so they took the next really hard step, and that is try to understand that need, right? Not just feel it in your gut, not just notice it and assume you understand it, but really explore it. Ask people about it. Try to grasp it, not just from your own perspective, but from others. That's hard to do. And then they didn't stop there. There's yet another hard thing that they did. They said, all right, wow, this need is more complicated than I even thought it was at first. And I'm going to do something about it. Okay? I'm going to design a thing, test a thing, make a thing that helps to address that human need that I now understand better. And I'm going to put it out in the world, and I'm going to do the scary, even harder thing of saying, here's my attempt to be helpful. And hope that it is, and commit to making it even more helpful, and to failing along the way. Honestly, if you don't fail a little, you're probably not doing it right. So with all of that in mind, Thank you to our Trinity students. You make me so proud, and you are what we are here for.
Hello, my name's Gabe. And I'm Liam. And we're Body Amp Electronics. So, here at Body Amp Electronics, this is a quote that really embodies our mission statement. Innovation is taking two things that exist and putting them together in a new way. Tom Preston. So obviously, backpacks have existed. Obviously, speaker amps have existed. But no one else has ever put them together in a unique way that allows musicians to be creative like we have.
So, the problem. Dave's going to show you what the problem is. Current gear is really heavy. It's really cumbersome. Watch them try and go up the stairs. Let's say you live in an apartment. This is a nightmare. You're going to be hitting the drywall. And even if you have something a little bit lighter, you have to set it down, and it takes a lot of time to just get to your car. So, problems we're going to go over. Current gear is heavy. It's slow. It's immobile. It's inconvenient. There's a lack of storage space, which we'll get into, and you can't play everywhere. The solution is what I'm wearing on my back. It's a stack pack. It's a battery-powered amplifier with storage space built in, like a real backpack.
With the stack pack, you can play anywhere, you can go anywhere, as Liam is doing, easily up the stairs, and you can bring your music with you. Stack pack Mach 3. So essentially what we're doing with this is taking 4 already created products and combining them into one. So the stack pack serves as an amp, a speaker cabinet, a battery, and a backpack, all in one innovation. So how we stack up to our competitors, large and small venue cabinet amps both often use these big bulky equipments that weigh 100 pounds, 150 pounds, that take these big teams of people and dollies to move from their vehicle to the venue. And even if they try to go on the lighter side, the lightest amps you can find on the market today are 40 to 50 pounds. This, even with this size, it takes 30 minutes to an hour just to set all this up. But with the stack pack, all you have to do is put it on, walk in, set it up. It's a 90-second second time. And also, the weight of the stack pack, this exact stack pack is 22.4 pounds. Almost half the weight of any amp you can find on the market. Now for DIY shows?
So for DIY shows, you have to get out to a place like in the middle of the field, right? And this is like entry-level shows for new musicians who are trying to get their foot in the door, who need to prove themselves, right? And so this is the ideal kind of cabinet because usually it's like it's really heavy gear that you have to haul out into the middle of nowhere. Then you have to bring generators, and then you have, and it's quite costly All right, so what we're starting is bands and busters. What we hope to do is we hope to get this in the hands of well-known musicians, and people will watch them. They'll see, oh wow, that's really cool. And they may want this. We need to get it out into the hands of these people so we know what to improve on and get customer feedback.
So there are hundreds of busters and bands all over the San Antonio and Austin music scenes. I'm sure you've seen them performing at the Riverwalk on the streets of Austin. We hope to initially target these folks, and then once they get into the hands of these two groups, eventually expand to all musicians who see this and are like, wow, that's convenient, that's easy. The music market is $30 billion right now, and the specific amp market is $5 billion, but By 2032, the amp market is expected to almost double to $9 billion, and we expect to be able to capture a significant portion of this growth with the Stack Pack. So some additional features of the Stack Pack, while it is primarily a speaker amp, it also serves the same functionality as a backpack. So cables, phone, wallet, keys, water bottle, anything that you would have on you bringing into a show, you can put inside the Stack Pack.
And I'd like to just add that it gives you the mechanical advantage of a backpack compared to a suitcase over there, a briefcase that you pick up, or a coffin, right? When you have two people having to move this thing to where you're going. It's on your back. You don't have to set it down. It's one motion. It's easy to move. Again, from between houses.
It is waterproof as well, so buskers playing outside, they don't have to worry about conditions like today. They can just keep on playing. And also, if you have any devices low on charge, you can just open up the backpack, plug it into the battery, you're good to go.
So currently we have a manufacturing cost of $250. We have someone who wants to buy for $600. And as we add things to these models and make them better, we also offer features that no other amp company currently offers for their amplifiers. And so we will be charging more as time goes on. But currently, that's what the price looks like.
Yes, this letter of intent really increased our confidence that we can make a profit off of this. Finnegan Shower, he's a local musician in the Austin scene. He plays in a band, and he said that we'd really appreciate the chance to come to the accelerator, research deeper into our target market, and really refine our product, have it ready to release onto the market.
Thank you.
Questions? Sorry.
Almost locked on. I'll start. You guys talked about some of the competitive, other options out there, but I didn't see any price comparisons. Can you start with what are the other price comparisons?
I can tell you from buying gear, you can expect for nice gear, right? It'll be $2,000, $3,000. That's the kind of ceiling as to like what people are going to pay. For cheaper gear, you'll see around $400, $500, and that's around the range that people want this for.
Okay.
We think that as we advance and make the material nicer, just advance our model. This is just a crude prototype right now. So as we advance our model, have more features, we think we can really up the price to match our competitors.
Liam, great job. Gabe also. How do you compete with the status that a brand brings, because it is a status thing in the music industry, right? Like, so how do you compete to bringing a Marshall in to bringing a random backpack with an amplifier on it, right? Like, how are you competing on that? And
All right, I'm glad you asked that question. By getting people playing it, that's really the only thing that we can do. And if people see what people playing, they'll ask, what is that? Where can I get one? That's how we kind of be competing. With marketing, we be competing with them. But that's kind of why I really think at this moment.
The Stackback, it's unique. Obviously, you've never seen this before, so it's awesome. Like, it has the same sound and sound quality and volume that a normal amp would get. So I think once people see this, start playing it, then they'll really realize that how much better it is than your traditional.
Yeah, it offers a unique functionality that you don't get with other amplifiers. You can set this down anywhere you want to play. With normal amps, you have to plug into a wall, and it's very rare to find battery powered things that are loud enough to be played live at shows.
My question is, does this product work with, you said you're selling it to bands, so how do you, can someone be on vocals, someone be on bass?
Yes.
So you're all wearing the speaker backpack, so
Yes.
you've got, okay. Is that what y'all envisioned as?
Yeah, no,
Like a whole band?
exactly. Whole band would show up, they'd use this or something like it, right? With other models, we hope to just make it easier for people to get out and play.
For a band, it would be easy to transport. The idea is that they would walk from the vehicle to the venue, easy, hassle-free, and then they would set this down with the guitar, and you can also plug in the microphone and have the whole band protected from one or multiple stack packers.
If you also aren't, you can't play an instrument or you really just want to play music out of this thing, you can, right? You can use this as a speaker like you would normally, like playing your phone. It'd be like one of those like suitcase speakers you see, right? But it's on your back and you can walk around with it. It's like, it's cool. I don't know.
My question is centered around intellectual property. With everything that was mentioned, that was one thing that I did not hear. So since it's such a unique concept, can you give a little bit more information revolving around the intellectual property aspect?
Yes. I was in the process like 3 days ago. I was trying to get a pre-patent file, the provisional period.
Provisional pack. We've been
Yeah.
looking into that. Yes.
And so it's really expensive, but I've been preparing a document to send in for that.
We do know, this is like our first public disclosure really, so as of now, we have 1 year to save up the funds and to prepare everything that we need to get a provisional patent on this.
As you all gain more customer demand, how do you plan to manufacture this product?
Well, we plan to actually make this thing more expensive, sell, one-on-one. We're not quite ready to expand to selling to a lot of people quite yet, just because we need to test the waters to see who is buying this thing, right? We're getting it out to musicians, but is it like a blues musician, or is it like rock musicians? Depends who's buying it.
That is definitely in the current state. That is how we're running. It's just us two building this thing, manufacturing a couple, getting them out there. But as we expand and as more people have demand, I think we can hire employees, one, to continue with the hand building method, and then as we scale to where we can't even have enough people to build that many amps, we can look into a manufacturing facility where we can go with an assembly line, or if we find the funds to automate production.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quiet! Quiet! Gosh, where are you going?
Go to the Stumberg Competition.
With that?
What's wrong with it?
Are you okay? Hey, just because you're a comp sci major doesn't mean you don't know how to dress up. This is why you need a girlfriend to teach you how to dress up, you know that? Well, you don't need a girlfriend because we are having colibri. So judges, as you can see, the wardrobe struggle is real. Imagine standing in front of your closet, seeing your clothes and feel like, oh, I have nothing to wear. With no personalized guidance, you might end up like that. But online shopping is a hassle. With sizing or being inconsistent, and returning is a hassle. But imagine an app that creates a mini you to show you a preview of your outfit.
And this is why we create Colibri to change your fashion life once and forever. And this is how it works. With just 3 simple steps. All you need to do is just input your body measurement, and then we will generate a mini version of you for you to make sure that everything will look good on you. Secondly, all you need to do is just scan your closet. For example, I can scan this shirt from my wardrobe to the Colibri inventory. And finally, all you need to do is select the occasion, so that we will give you 5 outfit recommendations. 3 of them will come from your existing wardrobe, and 2 of them gonna come from the external source. And to complete your look, the external source will recommend the fashion trend from the potential brand to fit it with your wardrobe. And this is what we meant by saying mini you. So after you input your body measurement, it will generate the mini version of you. And all you have to do is just play around with it. You can add your clothes from your existing inventory, and also you can try on the recommendation that is generated before.
And judges, we are all humans. We are all wearing clothes. And the market growth for virtual try-on has been increasing every single year with a 26.4% of compound annual growth rate. It shows how clothing and virtual try-on has been improving and increasing every day. We conducted a survey within more than 200 Trinity staff, faculty, and students, and also outside of Trinity with different age ranges. We asked them how willingness of them in using the method suggesting outfits based on their wardrobe. And the majority say maybe if accurate and yes. But how are we going to make it accurate? Well, that's trade secret. And what makes Colibri so different from our competitors, Amazon and Stitch Fix, where they are our hugest competitors, however they don't have the mini you. How are you going to see the clothes that looks on you? And also, we don't force you to buy anything. We are helping you to manage your closet and recycle clothes that you already have. We create occasion-based suggestions so you can enjoy your day even more. And meet Mary. She's a student. She loves fashion trends. However, online shopping has been bothering her so much, and she doesn't sure how can she fit with styles. And this is why Colibri AI recommendation with 3D try-on will help her out. And this is Harvey. He's a dad, and he's a lawyer. He has been listening to complaints from his wife and his daughters how he's being dressing all black on his daughter's birthday. He's a lawyer, that's why he needs something that is quick and efficient. And this is why occasion-based suggestions will help him out so he never has to hear complaints from his daughter anymore.
And this is a question that we've been waiting since the beginning. How are we gonna make money? So there's 2 main revenue streams. One of them is come from subscription. So all the plan will have the functionality to let users input their measurement and generate a mini version of you so that they can play around with it. However, the differences is the freemium, the essential, and the premium only have only have a certain amount of items that you can scan into your inventory, and this also have cooldown after any generation. And it also come with a certain amount of customization, such as active, business, or based on the weather or occasion. And also, however, with the Elite plan, you can have unlimited inventory, item in your inventory without no cooldown, and you can have unlimited customization based on team color or dress code. And it also comes with affiliate commission. So remember when I just talked about the 2 external source. So if in there we will put the ads and the link to the brand so that whenever user decide to buy clothes from us, they will get we will get 5 to 15% of commission rate. And here's our potential partner, which is Nike, H&M, or any brand that you can think of. And this is our roadmap for 2025. In the beginning of the 2025, we will focus on building the Colibri core technology, and then we will focus on launch our first marketing campaign to make sure that our brand is to improve our brand awareness, and then we will launch our app to showcasing our innovation to user. And by the end of 2025, we will collect all of the valuable user insight to upgrade and update our app to make it more easy for users to use. And this is the allocate for $5,000 user fund. So we will spend half of the money on development and testing costs to make sure that Colibri actually works. And then 10% will come from marketing and market research, and 14% going to go for the operation support and service to make sure that our daily for our company can work. And we set aside 10% of unexpected expense, and the rest going to be for platforming and licensing costs such as Android or iOS.
And hi, my name is Milan, and I'm the co-founder and managing director of Colibri. So I'm going to be working on operations and financing activities.
And my name is Huang, and Levi is not here today, but we are both computer science major, and we have a lot of experience in creating mobile app as well as web app. So we are going to make Colibri come true.
Thank you for listening.
My question is, how will Colibri ensure accurate fit recommendations despite the lack of industry-wide standardization? And how will your system adapt over time to improve accuracy?
So I know that a lot of brands have different size. So our algorithm will transfer all those size from the other brand into one system, like one measurement, like our own measurement, so that we can fit with the measurement that user put it into the app. So that's why it's a accuracy.
I'll go with the next question. My question was around potential partnerships with big box stores. Is that something that you explored? I saw you obviously potentially working with brands, but what about companies themselves that are selling the products like Amazon, Walmart?
So I believe that all the brands have the commission, affiliate commission program, which is really easy to sign up. All you need to do is go to the link, sign up, and you will get the link for that product. And all you need to do is put that link into our product. And that's it. It's not really a big problem.
Kwang, Milan, congratulations, especially as a computer science major. Really admire you coming up here and presenting. Wanted to bring up, right, like live selling is the big new thing, right, instead of VR. How do you compete with that now that Amazon has let the live selling, it's just showing the product. It's easier than just scanning every single one in a catalog, right? Like, how do you think about that, and do you pivot?
I don't think I completely comprehend the questions. Do you mind, like, you can explain it in?
Of course, how do you compete with live selling than just AR and VR, right, that you guys are doing?
Well, to be honest, I think that, like, what we're trying to do is we manage your closet. So you don't have to, like, rebuy anything else, you repurchase anything else, and that's gonna save you some costs. And also occasion-based suggestions, you don't have complaints anymore. And competing with them is that I think, like, for Walmart and Amazon, most of the time, like, you will buy it yourself. It's not you gonna customize whatever you're having right now. If I understand the questions correctly, and I hope that can answer it.
Sure, yeah. So we basically doesn't force the user to buy a product. We just want them to go to the app, play around with the menu, and just, if they want to, they can buy it from our affiliate. It's a win-win.
My question is centered around AI. With everything that you all brought to us, which was fabulous, great information. The concept makes complete sense, especially when you talked about some of the competitors such as Stitch Fix, which I'm very familiar with. How do you all see yourself tying that into resources? So in other words, the AI component that's going to be the driver behind the actual processes for the app to run. So as far as like research, is there a company that you already have started to look potentially into to assist with the operations side of the house, or is it still open?
So are you asking about the AI to give the recommendation or the sizing?
On the recommendation side of the house.
So I think we have a lot of open source for AI to give us a recommendation, but I would prefer to write our own algorithm so that we can generate the clothes based on the fashion trend. Of course, we need like update data day to day because fashion change literally every day. So it's on us to update our data every single day and make sure that our algorithm will work with that.
Hi, I'm Aiden Seibel, the lead mobile engineer at Divi. like to start off with a quick hypothetical situation between three friends who go out tonight. We'll call them A, B, and C. So let's say first they go to a restaurant, and let's say that A covers the bill for the restaurant. Then they go bowling, and C will cover the bowling bill. And then they go get ice cream. And A and C can both pay for their own ice cream, but of course, B forgot their wallets. So C has to pay for B's ice cream for them. At the end of the night, who owes who what? It's never as simple as taking the total and dividing by the number of people. There's receipts, there's sales tax, there's human error, memories get foggy, and that's just for 3 people. Imagine if there were 6 people involved. Imagine if there was an entire fraternity. Of course, dynamic transaction histories get long and memories get foggy, and friend groups, in particular young people, endlessly ping-pong money back and forth for the 700th time that I'm not paying each other back. Of course, this is not just constraints to young people and friend groups. Clubs, events, organizations, all types of informal group settings have this problem consistently when there's not an established payment system in place. I myself, as the Trinity Chess Club president, still haven't been paid back for tournament costs from last semester. So it's clear that when money is handled casually in this fashion, there can build up tension, confusion, often resentment. So it's clear that an established payment system for handling group expenses in particular is not just a convenience, it's a necessity at times. So of course, myself, Samuel Cohen, and Koi Chan wanted to solve this problem definitively. We went to the UTSA Hackathon Rowdy Hacks 10 in October of 2024. There, we built Divvy, a multi-platform mobile app designed to effortlessly streamline group budgeting. And out of 500 students across 86 different projects, Divvy won first place overall and took home the grand prize. So how does Divvy work? Well, it's simple. When a member of a Divvy group covers the bill for everybody else in that group, they make a request on the Divvy app detailing the amount that they paid and who owes them back how much, such as A, covering the restaurant bill. Then, users of the other members have 2 options. Either they can pay their friend back immediately, just canceling their outstanding balance, or they can wait until a separate occasion, such as bowling. When that happens, they cover the bill for everybody else, and the charges between 2 people that paid cancel out, and Divvy does the math. Now we just have to see it. So let's take a look at the iOS MVP for Divvy built during the UTSA Hackathon 6 months ago. Well, we've got the Groups tab, which allows you to have different access to different information regarding the groups that you're a member of. You can click on a group, and you can see the details of the group, including who requested how much paid how much you owe, and everybody else that's involved. You can even chat with other group members. You can then also make a request on the Request tab. You can do this manually, of course, but Divvy offers the external option of being able to take a picture of a receipt and have all the details read automatically. And then finally, you have your profile page, which allows you to change your own settings and view your transactions. So, what's the current market for Divvy? Well, it's clear that there is demand among young people for Divvy, as judged by existing apps that have currently consumer-fied business-oriented tools. We can point towards 2 examples. The first is Venmo. Venmo facilitates peer-to-peer transactions between other members, and it's the app of choice for most young people to pay each other back. And as a result, they process over $300 billion in transactions annually and collect $1.1 billion in revenue. We also have Discord, which facilitated traditionally business-oriented tools like group email chains and voice chats into a haven for young people to gather online. And as a result, Discord is the 30th most visited website in the world and takes home $900 million yearly in revenue. So Divvy is very similar in the premise to these 2 apps in which business-oriented tools have been consumer-fied. And thus, we plan to see a business model very much like these. Thus, we've made a radical decision. The core functionality of Divvy will be entirely free to use for all consumers. We've elected to do this out of 2 key observations. The first is that we need to have rapid user base growth. And the second is that in order to have rapid user base growth, we need to make our services available free easily. Simply because people are not willing to pay upfront for an Apple subscription regardless of how much. So instead, we'll be generating revenue through our in-app payment service, in which users can clear their outstanding balance within the group for a small transaction fee, less than 1% of the total amount. When this happens, we've determined that this offsets the cost of maintaining a user on the platform, which is already very cheap, around 10 cents per month. Thus, we target a monthly profit per user of about 50 cents per user, which means $6 a year. You can do math. So alas, Divvy does have competitors, among which are Splitwise, a current mobile app on both Android and App Stores, and Venmo Groups, which is a feature within the Venmo app. However, these competitors are under-advertised, they paywall their features, and they simply don't have the features that Divvy has. You can look at them now. Divvy is essentially an all-in-one app that contains all the features that these competitors have in total. So you don't have to exit the app at all for any third-party service. Of course, our goals are pretty simple. We want to finish the conversion of the app to multi-platform, given that we already have the app currently built, and we're going to release it on the app stores by June 2025. From there, we're going to ramp up an aggressive marketing strategy in order to target rapid user base growth, such that by August 2025, we hope to achieve 10,000 active users on our platform, or that's $60,000 per year. We can do this because we have a team that's already incredibly technically gifted. We are all CS majors. We have Corey Tran, a returning Stumberg Grand Prize winner from last year who built Powerlifting that Jet on his own. He'll be joined by myself, a self-published mobile app developer who has extensive experience in user interface and design. And finally, we have Sam Coleman, who's taking his industry experience in Amazon Web Services to make our database incredibly efficient. So, when it comes to the $5,000, we already know that we're offered $5,000 in AWS Cloud credits as being part of this program. So we hope to expend our $5,000 in this fashion. First, we want to have an aggressive user base growth, so we're targeting a lot towards advertising, 7% or $3,500. Second, since our revenue stream is coming through in-app transactions, we want to be able to cover the regulatory fees, and we've dedicated $1,500 towards that, just to overcome those hurdles. If you'd like a working memo of the Divvy app, come visit us afterwards. Thank you.
Great job, guys. You are gonna also, enhance the app development of it, but you're gonna go and run through this challenge, right? It's like, oh, another app that I have to download. So can you walk me through when I download Divvy, how easy it is to connect my Apple Wallet or my card, so I don't have to do it again after I already did Cash App, Venmo, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. So actually, when you sign up for the Divvy app, you don't even need to input your bank info. In fact, you all you need is an email, password, and username. Because, as I mentioned earlier, if two members of the Divvy group make separate requests, those charges cancel out. It's only when you want to pay everybody else back that you actually need to input your bank info. Thus, it makes it super simple.
Can you go back to the table where you talked about Splitwise? Okay. Regarding, I've used Splitwise on a trip with other friends, and I was able to communicate chat features. Specifically tell us how you're going to differ. I mean, Venmo has a huge brand, so and you list two. That's kind of the basic way people are sending money back and forth. Like, truly tell me what your app's going to do that the others are not doing now, or couldn't instill.
Sure. Yeah. So
with a couple updates to their app.
Absolutely. So the thing about Splitwise is that it's currently paywall, or at least a majority of the features behind our app are paywall. Whereas Divvy is meant to offer our services for free to all consumers, with the exception of our revenue stream. The thing about Venmo Groups is that it's currently under-advertised because it was a feature built by an intern 2 years ago that they simply haven't expanded on or advertised whatsoever.
Kind of on that same note, what's holding Venmo back from just pumping some of their revenue into that and then advertising it and then growing the user base, or keeping the user base that they already have and just eliminating your potential user base?
Yeah. So this is, I guess it's on. You're on. You're like, you're good. It's on. Oh, cool. Nice to hear. So this is a buddy concern of ours. However, with an aggressive marketing strategy, we are planning on taking this seed by storm. We are planning on getting a massive user base very quickly, but also the nature of the budgeting. We need to have other people in those groups, and that we believe that it's a very, very fast-paced, fast-growing environment. And by having incredibly friendly user experience and allowing for users to get into this very, very easily, Your users can't help chase straight up equipment mode to come in and clean us out just immediately. So this is just kind of coming off the traction idea of you have to get interested in it and leave that the same that very regularly with users' names.
My question is centered around the concept of the participants in each of the group. Will individuals have to specifically sign up for the app? So for instance, if I'm out with some friends, one of the friends has this app and they pay. For the rest of us who do not have the app, will we have to download or can we literally pay as a guest, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so this is something that we have not explored yet. This is a needs kind of fit perspective that we fix in and out. Currently, you do have to have the app to be a part of these groups. However, by integrating in their payment systems, we could potentially eliminate any of that sort of friction there. So they that should be plug in. That payment button should be flexible enough to see transfers and bank transfers across the mediums without the restrictions of
First of all, congratulations. I applaud all three of you for having such a developed project already. I do have a question though. What is your end goal? Is it your plan to sell to a larger fintech company this software, or I guess are you planning to be independent?
Yeah, so as of right now, we are planning on being independent. We are primarily going into this with the idea that there's really cool to develop something, we get to be a part of something like this competition is really interesting. We are passionate about this project, and I think that is a question that at this moment in time is murky for us, just due to the nature of us being in the seed stage. And I think that will form up as we start to get the app store and start to get our legs.
How do you build up your users' confidentiality of confidence that their money is going to be safe, right? Like the cybersecurity aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can speak to this really well. So I'm the primary backend developer at Dig right now, and so I'm currently running the app in Rust, which is a very safe, very secure class language. I'm making sure to adhere to industry standards. I have various nets at USAA where I am actively working with different people, eventually developing that and that code is mine, and making sure that we are 100% safe, 100% secure. That $1,500 regulatory budget is going to go to making sure that we are adhered to the privacy, revenue, W, all of those fun things. Make sure we as experts in that field, and we are ensuring that our customers are investing.
We are Dorling, a smart, secure, and seamless solution. My name is Nathaniel Troxel, founder of Finance Nation.
My name is Vijay Wortha, co-founder of Business Analytics Nation.
So the idea for Dorling came to me one day while I was laying in bed, looking at my door and looking at my smartphone, wondering how to connect the two technologies. In an era where everything is smart appliances, smart security, smart lights, it begs the question, why are doors still dumb? Now, door automation does exist, yet it's only used on a need case basis, meaning the elderly and disabled folks are the only ones currently utilizing this product. This is for a few reasons. One of them is the high cost. On average, these products cost between $2,000 and $3,000. They're also extremely bulky and unattractive in design. They require complex installation, and more often than not, professional installation, adding on to that already high cost. And lastly, there's no intuitive smart integration in this space that's built for everyday use. That's where DoorLink comes in. DoorLink is a smart door hinge and lock system that allows you to open and close, lock and unlock your door from wherever you are in the world. We will do this in a few ways. One is seamless design. Anywhere that there's a residential door frame, you will be able to install our product. Installation will be as simple as taking off the old hardware and installing our hardware. We will implement hands-free control through our software app. Our locking system will be a technology called an electric strike, which is a proven technology in the security world. And lastly, this will all be powered through a replaceable battery system. Now, we are in the prototyping phase. Bits and pieces of the technology exist, but in different sectors. We can see this in smart garage door openers, and like I mentioned earlier, the electric strike system. Yet nobody has put these two technologies together and brought them into the smart door sector. Inherently, we are a proprietary product, and as soon as we finish up our prototype, we will start securing patents. During our manufacturing phase, we will remain in compliance with agencies such as the ADA, the UL, and the FCC. And lastly, we will manufacture our product in such a way that is scalable for us in the future.
So just to provide some more clarity, we have an example here showing how DoorLink would look in action. So here we have my wonderful mother who agreed to be an actor for us. As you can see, she's using her smartphone to activate the device, which allows her to walk through the door. Also, before we move on, I'd like to acknowledge the two individuals who will be helping us bring DoorLink to life. So we have Legend Grigsby, who's a mechanical engineer, who will be developing the physical prototype for us. And we have Cole Conway, who's a software engineer, and he'll be developing the DoorLink app. So now we know what the product is, let's take a look at who we're trying to sell to. So our primary target customers are individuals that either own smart devices already or are looking to purchase them. And the reason we chose these people specifically is because we believe these are the individuals that will most likely see the value in a product like DoorLink. And we get that from a few key psychographic perspectives. So first thing we describe as early adopters, which are people who are looking to buy the newest and latest technology. They can be tech savvy, which are people who are comfortable and familiar with using smart devices. They can value convenience, which are people who are just looking to make their everyday lives at home easier and more efficient. And then lastly, they can be security conscious, which are people who just want peace of mind, whether they're at home or away. And overall, these values align with the benefits that DoorLink brings. So with that in mind, we also want to dive deeper into the market. So on the left, we have a graph showing the smart home revenue on a global scale. And as you can see, there's been positive growth over the past few years, and that trend is projected to continue. On the right, we calculated our market potential using another source of data that shows how many households are utilizing smart home devices on a global scale. So for our total addressable market, we found that on a global scale, our biggest opportunity comes out to around 493 million households. For our serviceable addressable market, we focused on the United States specifically, and that number came out to around 77 million households. And then for our serviceable obtainable market, we took 10%, which represents the control and connectivity sector, and that number came out to around 11 million. So even at a small percentage, our product still has sizable potential. So now I'm going to talk about the timeline, which is how we'll bring DoorLink into the market. So step one is where we're at right now, which is finalizing a prototype and securing funding. Step two is all about marketing and increasing our brand awareness. So we plan to do this by establishing an online website, utilizing social media, purchasing ads, and also in-person interactions such as surveys and interviews, which is something we've been doing already. Step three and beyond is all about the long run, and something we plan on exploring in the future are retail partnerships with home improvement stores, so we can get our product out on the shelves in front of more people. Step four is all about scalability, and for us, that would involve in-house manufacturing. And then along with that, step five is expanding our reach by targeting more customer segments, such as individuals with mobility issues or even pet owners, because we believe they can benefit from using DoorLink as well. So last thing we'll touch on is our use of funding from the seed round. So as we mentioned, our main priority is getting a prototype in hand. So that means most of the funding will be allocated towards product and software development. And then for our contract agreement, as you saw earlier, we're working with two individuals that will be helping us create DoorLink. And while they're not officially on the team, we want to make sure we're allocating a portion to them as well for their efforts. And with that, thank you, and we welcome all questions.
I'll go ahead and jump right in. Great presentation. Quick question around, are you afraid of like the current block companies being able to adapt technology just like this and be able to push you out of the market before you can even get in, just as they hear about it? So it's just,
They're specifically in the door lock, not the door automation systems. And we plan to secure patents around our prototypes once we finish. There's no current technology that exists right now that's anywhere near the door automation sector. It's where we want to be at. Like I mentioned earlier, the only thing that's in our market are those big, bulky commercial door openers. Yep.
My question is actually tied into the one that was just mentioned, and you mentioned a little bit about the IP or the patent side of the house. So in detail, with the actual product, will it be a situation where not only consumers will be able to purchase the item, but also the heavy players that are already in the locking mechanism game? So, in other words, they would, in essence, come to you, or you would go to them with the product as an attachment for products that they already have, or how would that be structured?
Right now, we're a business to consumer business model. So we're directly selling to people that own residential homes, which is our primary target customer segment.
How easy is it to install? Because the amount of people that don't know how to change their door hinges is like crazy.
Right. Right. So it's as simple as taking off the 4 screws that are currently installed in the door hinge and then replacing the new. With our product design, we can include things such as instructions and video manuals, so it would be easy on the users. But essentially, it's just 4 screws that don't take off.
And then how do you also, instill the confidence that nobody's gonna break into your system and open up my door?
So that's a great question. We are working with a technology that's unlike Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which is easily hackable. That's called Z-Wave. Z-Wave is what the government uses in their wireless devices, and it operates at a lower frequency, making it virtually unhackable.
Great.
I know you're still in the prototyping phase, and this is a very good idea, so I congratulate you on that. What is your plan for self-manufacturing or for mass manufacturing in the future?
So right now we're working on meeting the prototype, but in the future we want to have in-house manufacturing, just to increase reliability of the product, and so we know what's going on and what's being produced in our factories, so we can get it out to as many people as we can.
Are you looking to patent this as far as the door hinge? I'm gonna miss that.
Yes, sir.
Because there are apps now that like Airbnb, you can open your door through your phone. But the hinges seems like that's something I've not heard of. Is that something that y'all can secure a patent on, you believe?
So that's our unique value proposition is the door hinge, less the lock itself. Because like we stated earlier, the locking mechanism already exists and it's a proven technology. We're coming in with the door hinge, and that's where our patent will really come in and secure us.
Yeah, can I make a note to that, right? Like, it would help us a lot if your market strategy would have been like, we are doing this for, parents that have disabled kids to be able to help them open up the door, right? Or so, like, if you said examples like that, it'd be like, oh, like an aha moment as to why it's not just the lock, but it's also like, we're trying to open up your door as well.
Yeah, why not just focus on the hinge since the other products already exist?
Because it's a security concern.
Okay, good.
If you're able to open and close your door, and there's no locking mechanism that pairs with the door hinge, it becomes a great security concern for people that own our product, and that's the last thing that we want to happen.
I have a follow-up question just around the profile of the hinge. What's likely that you're going to get all that technology into the thinness of the current hinge?
So that's what we're working on currently right now. We have our mechanical engineer. His name is Legendary, as I mentioned earlier. He's a well-rounded mechanical engineer, and we fully believe in his capabilities to produce what we want him to. Okay.
How will you market this product outside of, the usually Liana that's sitting at home, right? Are you gonna go through like contractors to install them and then give that demo? I don't know. How are you breaking the market?
Yeah, so you can ask. Yeah. Thank you.
accuracy on a true-false general science knowledge exam. Now, this is only 12% higher than the probability of guessing correctly on this exam. And part of this lack of general science knowledge may be due to a growing distrust that Americans have for scientists. If we're looking at the figure on the screen, specifically the bottom green portion, we see that there's this trend for increasing distrust of American adults in the scientific community. And this trend may be due to the lack of accessible and easily digestible scientific knowledge. So we're going to put these stats to the test and poll our audience. So who knows what happens when you put two grapes next to each other in a microwave? We want you to think about this answer for a few seconds. And raise your hand if you knew that you can actually create plasma. There you go. Notice how we don't have many hands. Well, for those of you that didn't raise your hand, this is something you'd be able to learn in our new board game, Mad Science Fair. So Claire and I were thinking, what can a neuroscience major and a marketing and communication major do to help increase this accessibility of scientific knowledge? Well, logically, we could create a board game. In our board game, Mad Science Fair, players play as the students of competing at their first robot building competition. And in this competition, they'll need to collect tokens, and they do this through experiments that'll highlight experiments that can be done at home, in the classroom, or in a STEM camp setting. Additionally, these cards are going to highlight scientists that are often overlooked in mainstream science, such as women and people from other minority backgrounds. Once they collect these tokens, they'll be able to build their robot parts, ultimately completing a full robot where they get to battle to the death with their peers in our battle arena. So this is our current photos of our phototype, as you can see here on the display. We've also gone through 2 rounds of playtesting and are currently working through integrating the feedback that we got to make sure our game is educational yet fun.
So to talk a little bit about the cost of the game, we're looking at roughly $15 per unit on bulk game orders, and we can sell this for roughly $70 because we're not just including the board game, we're including a lesson plan and access to the website, which includes supplemental information for teachers to use and teach in the classroom. So we're looking at a gross profit of $55 per sale. There is some competition in the market, specifically Genius Games and North Star Games, which both create educational board games. However, both companies focus on hyper-specific scientific topics such as evolution or cell structure. And as a student, if I wasn't already interested in cell biology, these are not games that I would pick up off the shelf. So our game is broken down into 2 different types. First, we have our education edition, which follows state regulations such as TEKS for Texas, but include that lesson plan for teachers to use, which would be grade level specific because obviously a 6th grader is not learning the same thing that high school would be learning. And there would be options for expansion packs looking at technology, geoscience, forensics, math, and anything else you can think of that's a STEM category. Our primary consumer profile for this would be heads of educational institutions, summer camps, or anyone that's homeschooling their kids. We're also hoping to target people that are interested in engaging their kids in new and fun ways. Some of the feedback that we've already received from this target market is that teachers are extremely interested in this idea of the gamification of learning as it has become more popular with online tools such as Kahoot. However, teachers are really interested in keeping their kids off of the screens as it is increasingly distracting in a classroom. And so a board game offers a solution to keep the kids off the screen while still being able to engage them in the gamification of learning. Additionally, there are a lot of underfunded districts, not only in Texas but across the United States, who cannot afford to provide a computer for every single student in the classroom, but who could more reasonably pay $70 to engage their entire class. Next is a recreation edition, which I won't talk too much about as it is just a basic board game, where every single card includes scientific learning, and you can read the cards and just continue to educate yourself outside of the classroom. To look a little bit at the market for board games, it's growing exponentially in billions of dollars, meaning that demand is increasing as well. Furthermore, 73% of parents say that their child is in an after-school program that offers STEM learning, and 7.8 million children participate in after-school programs in the U.S., meaning there are 5.7 million children that are in STEM-based after-school learning programs. This is not including the 26 million children who attend summer camps every year, or the 3.7 million children who are homeschooled. Both of these statistics are expected to grow exponentially with the growing distrust in the educational institutions in America.
In terms of how we would use the seed funding, we would mainly focus on 4 main categories, with a lot of the money being allocated toward game development. While we do have prototypes, we want to continue to make sure that the research we are presenting in our game is factually accurate, very engaging, and a fun way for these kids to engage with their peers or family if we're focusing on the recreational model. Additionally, this is where we would be spending our funding to develop lesson plans, some how-to videos, and other supplemental materials that would be accessible through our website. Of course, we would spend some funding on marketing, going directly to school districts or STEM camps and doing a pitch for them on our product. And of course, we want to spend some more money on play testing. Again, we really value that consumer feedback and want to make sure that our game is educational and fun. So, does this actually work? And the answer is yes. There's been a lot of research focusing on the gamification of learning. As highlighted on the screen here, this study shows that there is a 50% increase in knowledge attainment if we're comparing our pre and post conditions. So this was prior knowledge before playing a board game and then after, and we see that there's an increase for both children and adults. Additionally, another study highlighted that students exposed to a board game were 3.3 times more likely to retain knowledge present in that board game compared to our basic last year. So our board game is educational, fun, and a great way to increase our basic science knowledge. And with that, we would be happy to take any questions about our venture. Thank you so much for your attention.
I'll start off. Congratulations again. Thank y'all so much for being here. Trinity has a world-class master's in teaching program here, and our education department is excellent. I'm curious if you've tapped into that resource to be able to validate the actual educational piece of this project.
Yes, we definitely plan on tapping into that resource and have reached out to the head, Dr. Barnett, and she is helping us in this process as well to make sure.
Yeah. Furthermore, we are currently in a directed study with Dr. Troyer, who is helping us balance the game. She teaches a class about board game development. Oh, Dr. Troyer, she's in the comparative literature department.
Have you identified any potential manufacturing partners, and how are you selecting them?
Yes, so we reached out to 4 to 5, both in the U.S. and abroad, to compare the prices. We've seen that in the U.S. the communication is better. All of the prices are a little bit steeper, but that's how we got to those numbers. It wasn't just a guess; it was directly quoted from several manufacturers in the U.S.
As a kid, I was off the charts competitive. How do I win this game?
Robot.
What's that?
Build the best robot.
Okay. Either kill all of the other robots or stay in the arena long enough to gain the correct amount of
So
victory.
there's different levels where you progress. So it's you do. Does the class actually do each? There's like a lesson plan within the board game.
Yeah, so there's 2 different ways that this can go about. With our educational one, there would be moments in the game that's more like a collaborative effect, so the teacher would be able to pull the attention and be like, oh, look at this experiment, let's talk about static electricity, for example. Additionally, some of the cards are going to be phrased to engage the students in the scientific mindset. So here's a scenario about plant growth. What's your hypothesis on what will happen if we grow them in the dark versus in the light? So then the teacher can kind of facilitate a discussion about that, on top of allowing students to be able to build the best robot and compete against each other.
So how long does this game take?
Yeah, so we've gone through 2 full stages of play testing. Both times took roughly 2 hours, and that was from the beginning of them reading the rule book to the end of them finishing the game. In a school scenario, we would have them read the rule book beforehand, or have the teachers explain as the kids are playing the game to cut down on time. But this was set to be in a 1-class setting, so 1 class time to play the game.
So your science teacher being like, we have fun Fridays, so we're going to sit down and play this board game for our duration of science class.
So my question is, selling to schools is not easy.
Yes.
Do you guys know who you would be aiming for within the school districts or whatever to get this onto the sums?
Yeah, so a lot of my family members are actually teachers within Austin School District, so RISD and Austin ISD, and my mom actually teaches at a private STEM academy, so we would start there to gain kind of reviews on our game with positive feedback, so that when we go to those larger districts, we already have like a proven success story. Furthermore, I taught at Math Science Camp a few summers ago, which is one of the biggest STEM programs in the country for summer learning and after school programs. So I have some connections there to talk to them and not sell to them, just to gain their advice on how this would work and any type of changes that we could make. Those programs are week long, so we are toying with the idea of creating different versions for science camp so that the whole week is the game. At the very end, one group should be the winner. I'm also a very competitive person.
Gamer.
Building off of that as well, I'm a part of Trinity Women in Science and Technology, and we actually have an outreach program where we go to like Lamar Elementary and do like science experiments and things like that. So that would be another way to connect us going directly to that school.
Question?
Thank you guys so much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Miguel,
And I'm Noah.
and we are
Open Shelf. So, why did we start Open Shelf? You first have to start with, why do people read? People love to read to immerse themselves in new worlds and feel a sense of accomplishment. So we wanted to create an app that felt just as immersive and rewarding. Open Shelf is a social and visually appealing way to track your reading progress, share your favorite stories, and to connect with fellow book lovers.
So the current industry for book tracking apps is currently valued around $181 billion. And by 2032, we'll be having a compound annual growth rate of around 14.89%, which will end up being $38.9 billion.
So, what is currently on the market? There is Goodreads, Storygraph, and Bookly, with Goodreads being our main competitor, but these platforms are outdated in features and personalizations. They do not provide adequate social connections or aesthetics. Just to show how much the book-loving community hates or dislikes Goodreads, I found some article clippings just from looking up the Goodreads app. So starting off, there's the New York Times, let's rescue book lovers from this online hellscape. Goodreads has no incentive to be good. Even authors saying they don't want their books on Goodreads. There is a user who's been on for 8 years and seen little to no improvements, and it feels like Amazon has abandoned it. And then there's still a need for a better Goodreads alternative.
So that's why we're developing Open Shelf. For our app, we're planning on having 4 tabs, and the first tab will have your own personal bookshelf that will track the books you're inputting and display it in an aesthetic and appealing way. And then our second main feature is the book club feature, where you will be able to connect with other users on our application who are reading the same books and be able to discuss in chat rooms about said book.
And then there'll be a book recommendation page giving you recommendations based off what your friends are reading and an AI algorithm. And then there'll also be an open shop where you can purchase little decorations to customize your own bookshelf with the in-app currency that you'll earn from doing tasks within the app.
So these are some of our mock-ups. They basically show that we're trying to have an aesthetic version of a book tracking app that currently exists. And we have at the bottom our 4 tabs where you can either check for new recommendations, look at your own personal bookshelf, and also join in chat rooms. So our revenue model will primarily consist of a freemium model and in-app purchases that you can access through our little Open Shop. Along with this, we plan on having a base of ad revenue where we'll just be promoting to publishing companies and to book-like entities. And then we'll also be having some supplemental income from selling our data insights that we anonymize to publishing companies for their trends and for their future endeavors.
So, a little more about our premium model called Open Shelf Enchanted. So, first of all, One thing about book lovers is they love two things, and myself included. One is reading, and two is bragging about what they're reading. So what a better way to show your current reading stats than with a wrapped version that cutely shows like all your stats for the year that you can post on your social medias. With the premium, there'll be no ads. You'll have access to exclusive decor. You'll have early access to like sneak peeks and trending books. You'll have a better smart recommendation for recommendations, and you'll also be able to collect more badges from completing reading milestones.
So, like we mentioned, some projected revenue streams would be our subscriptions and then in-app purchases, along with partnerships with publishing companies. The scalability of this is growing as the technology for reading is growing. So, podcasts, ebooks, those are all part of our vision for where OpenShelf is heading, and they will all be allowed to be displayed for you and your friends to see. So, our current timeline is our development and planning will take around 9 to 12 months, which is currently encompassing Stumberg and over the summer. I'll be a part of the accelerator program, so I will be mainly working on this project during then. And I will be using my companion, Adrian, who I will mention a little bit later, as a part of the development side. And then after our development, we will have a building and testing stage where we will be lending our prototype to a couple of people and seeing how they interact with our application and seeing if it's a viable replacement for what's currently on the market. And then finally, after our prototyping stage, we will have a launch and growth, where we will have a majority of our marketing along with our emphasis on launching our product on app stores and on the iOS and Android devices. So talking about our qualifications, I'm a human resource management major, but I've also taken a majority of entrepreneurship classes that are offered at Trinity, and I will be participating in the accelerator, so I will have ample time and ample resources within that to continue my research with this development and to honestly make my product grow. Noah is an accounting major whose qualifications have earned her internship at KPMG, and she also has a background in data science, which will be key and crucial to the development of our application. On the development side, we will be contracting assistance from a friend of mine. His name is Adrian Solvar. He is a math and physics major at Texas Tech University, and he has experience in creating AI and has currently been making his own application that is using an AI to track what kind of outfits you should wear for depending on the weather. So, sources, and thank you so much.
So as far as the books that you load, this is just kind of the honor system. I read the book, and is there, you have to like add all the books you've read in your lifetime, or is there a certain time frame? Like, is what I'm actually reading now? Like, where does the inventory start and end?
Yeah, you can have current reads. Let's say you're starting the app and you just want to have like a fresh start. You can go ahead and just start at that starting point. But if you want to input your own books that you have at home on your bookshelf, you can just scan the QR code or scan the PIN number that you could find like on Amazon, and it'll upload as well. So along with the honor system, I feel like that's a way that it's appropriate for the type of demographic we're aiming for.
So how you currently have it is tied to your books on your Kindle, or?
We don't have it tied to that, but we can have it tied to it. So it's like if you have an ebook or purchased an ebook, you just input what book that is, and it'll show up.
Okay.
Question revolving around numerics. I didn't see any numbers that were attached. So as far as the amount of subscribers, if you're looking to get to like year 1, year 2, or a percentage of how that would actually look in the long run.
So what we're aiming for currently is still in the very new stages of development, and we're trying to figure out what Goodreads and why it's doing as well as it is, despite the fact that it has such a they're pretty slow on their feet in terms of development. But in terms of subscription basis, I feel like we would opt to just have as many as possible, and we're trying to get positive reception through prototyping and whatnot.
What's your plan for growing those users? Do you have a go-to-market strategy kind of already thought out, or is it still too early for that?
I think it's somewhat early, but something that we were thinking about was going to events such as the San Antonio Book Festival, partnering with other little pop-ups and seeing how people respond to our app. And, I think aesthetics is one of the best parts of libraries. And that's what our app is trying to kind of aim at.
The UX prototype was very detailed and I thought really good. But is there going to be customization? So say I made an anime, can I create, different different skins? Thank you.
I believe so. I think
Like I'm in a murder and I want to have I want to read murder books and that's all I've read.
Yeah, sky's the limit. You want the red bumper or
right.
Look at like that starter pack that you'll have, and then like the more you go, like there's be seasons, and then we'll put like some spooky ones for the Halloween season to decorate your bookshelf for the season.
Have you talked to potential, your market? What have they said? What is the feedback that you gather?
So what we haven't done in market, and direct talking to our market, we've honestly looked at the negatives. So we've looked in chat rooms and we've looked at these news articles that have a general consensus that current applications are not offering a product that is satisfactory. Subscription is because it will get rid of ads, and then you'll have personalized recommendations that are tailored to you, and then the ads that we will run on the application will also generate income from companies that are willing to run their products on there.
The subscription service that you just mentioned, what was the dollar amount per user?
We haven't figured out the dollar amount per user, but comparable features such as Goodreads, they have a subscription premium service for around $5, and then there's other around the same level. But basically, the more you pay is what you get out of these applications, and what you're getting out of it is still not that great. It's honestly still just bland, and like I mentioned, these recommendations are also heavily influenced by monetary factors. So.
Questions?
How do you continue to engage your user base, right? Like, are you thinking about find your local book lovers?
We would try and reach out to as many people as possible, and then we would have incentives to continue using our app, which would be in decorations. But we're trying to garner connectivity through books, and so our social platforms is where the main that would be the main catalyst for that. So the more you interact with it, the more points you get, and the more points you get, the more you can decorate your bookshelf. So sharing your love of reading to other people is really what we're trying to emphasize.
Hello everyone, I'm Stephen Gill and I'd like to introduce you to Southern Reserve Apparel Company. So before I get really into the meat and bones of the company itself, I want to tell you a little bit more about me. So I created Southern Reserve as a way to pay homage to my native Texan roots, as well as my deep ties to my family in South Louisiana. My mom's from there and it's practically my second home. And so my mission with Southern Reserve is to create a brand that really establishes my love of Southern hospitality and the ability to share that to the rest of my customers by providing a elegant brand that pretty much encapsulates what it means to be in Southern culture. And so here's the problem. There is more to Southern culture than camping. There's so many more elements to what it means to live in the South than just camo and ducks, and I just felt like this was a huge problem to me and I wanted to change that. And so before I talk about the product, I want to talk about the brand we're going to be selling. So we want to incorporate designs that embody the luxury elements of Southern style living. And so this can be seen through the outdoors, world-renowned cuisine, and then music and culture. So one thing that was very important to me was making sure that all of our designs were very inclusive and apolitical. I wanted everyone to be able to share my love of Southern hospitality and Southern culture, and I just wanted to make sure everyone had access to it. So now that I've talked about the brand, something else that I really wanted to establish with Southern Reserve is the ability to give back to the community. So every single year, I want to give a share of our profits to a local charitable organization. And it's the one pictured above here is the Southern Smoke Foundation. So it was founded by a chef named Chris Shepard in Houston, who wanted to build a nonprofit that gives aid to those in the food and beverage industry. And I think that this really hits on the head with what it means to be a part of Southern culture. I think that people in the South really appreciate giving back to the community, as well as we all love our food, right? So I think that's something that really goes on brand and just truly special and an amazing opportunity to give back to the community. And so now let's talk about the product. So we're going to originally start with hats and t-shirts. Here's an example of a very rough draft of our first model. And from there, we want to grow into a full Southern style living apparel company. And so initially, we want to start with around $40 for our t-shirt. We're using Comfort Colors as our manufacturer, and the material itself is absolutely amazing, and it's just perfect for what we're trying to establish. And so now that we've talked about the product, who are we going to target? So who is our audience base going to be? And I think what we want to really hit on the head is the younger generation. We think it's, well, for starters, the younger generation wears t-shirts more than everyone else, as well as they, I think, agree with our brand in giving back to the community. And so I think they would really appreciate us giving back to a local charitable organization, as well as one thing that was very important to me was making it gender neutral. I wanted to make sure that I expect for our main customer base starting out to be predominantly college men. However, I wanted to make sure that we really hit all target audiences, and I want a big part of our customer base to be females as well. And I think that would first start with unisex clothing and all of those aspects. And so where do we see ourselves over the next 6 months? So we want to finalize the initial artwork to make our designs come to life and really stand out to our competitors. And then we're going to conduct market research to establish our market price, as well as our target audience. And then from there, I think the biggest element of what we're going to do is marketing. Getting our brand out there and building a name for ourselves. And I think we're going to do that by prioritizing search engine optimization. And I think the most important thing we have to do is have a large social media presence to really stand out on all social media platforms. And with this presence, we would define our brand, and from there, we want to launch our product. Our plan is to launch sometime this summer, and then continue to build a client base and continue to build a culture of innovation and just keep on expanding. And so the biggest part of what we're doing is going to be marketing. So how are we going to get our name out there? I think that with the way the trajectory of the world is going, that a huge aspect to pretty much every single business nowadays is social media. And I think the two platforms we're going to really achieve that in is Facebook Marketplace and Instagram. I think this would allow us to reach thousands, if not millions, of followers and really expand our customer base over time. And then something that I really wanted to hit hard was Greek life. So I think that that's going to be a large portion of our actual customer base, as well as one thing that I really wanted to do was partnerships with different fraternities, sororities, and other student organizations. For example, let's say you're a sorority girl at the University of Texas and you want to create a t-shirt for the big UTA&M game. We want to partner with them to create something that they feel proud of wearing, as well as giving us the opportunity to get our name on there and really grow closer with our huge aspect of our customer base. Then from there, we really want to do event pop-up shops. So that could be right here in San Antonio at Fiesta, the Houston Nutcracker Market, ACL. The possibilities are endless in the South, but we want to meet with our customer base face to face and really grow a true connection with them, as well as selling our product. And then another huge thing we want to do is through connections. So with our nonprofit that we team up with, we know they're going to have connections. We want to use those. But a huge thing for us is to be public figures. We want to use primarily younger collegiate athletes as well as young musicians to really promote our product and practically adopt their fan base as our own market. And so from what we want to do is we want to expand from Texas and South Louisiana and the rest of the South and just continue to grow and create something truly special. And so how we're going to expand. We want to grow eventually into a full Southern lifestyle brand, and it's going to go from things just luggage to golf apparel, fishing apparel, hunting apparel, to really upper scale outerwear such as blazers, button downs, khakis, you name it. And so something that we want to do is partner with established brands such as Yeti to cross sell, as well as have a long-term social media presence with what we call a barstool model. But we want to do different vlogs and videos to really make content about fishing, traveling, cooking, all of the elements of the South. And then from there, one thing that I really wanted to touch base on the 4 questions was we want that to be a positive space, a place that radiates high energy and positivity to the rest of the world. Thank you.
Steven, great job. You were one of the few to give us a why you're doing this. I want to know a little bit more about like why apparel, right? Like it's so hard, and so I want to know what is the passion behind us and continue to keep going with such hard market.
So one of the main things is I'm such a big consumer in the industry.
Okay.
Sorry, Dad. And I truly love just being able to wear something that I take pride in. And I feel like I had the opportunity to do something in Southern Reserve where I can create a product where my consumer base is very excited about wearing this. And it's just not another t-shirt. It's, wow, this brings back memories to my childhood. Wow, this is home to me. So I truly want to create something special. And that's why, I think.
Could you expand a little bit on potential competitors in the market? I mean, you touched on the camo component of it, did that, but like, is there other companies that consider themselves Southern lifestyle companies?
There are a few other Southern lifestyle companies, but what they really do is kind of just hit the hunting aspect and really just purely the outdoors. Like one example, a big run one of the industries, duck camo. And so they do a lot of just camo and hunting apparel. And I feel like there's so much more to what it means to live in the South than just the outdoors. I mean, I'm a big foodie. That's a huge part of it. And there's so many more aspects to what it means to live in Southern culture and Southern hospitality. So, yeah.
A question revolving around the differentiators as well as the cost tied into your target market. You said that your target market is going to be college students, but you also mentioned that the merchandise in most cases would start at around $40. So I'm curious to see how that price ties into college students, because for most college students, $40 for a t-shirt may not be something that they would actually sway to. They would possibly buy something that would be a little bit more within their price range. So what would be a differentiator if I was a college student years ago that actually went in to purchase and had the decision to actually make between a $20 shirt that had a Southern flair to it and yours that was a $40 shirt that has a Southern flair?
So kind of touching the first part of your question. So I averaged out 10 of our competitors, and their average price is around $43. So that's kind of, we're a little bit under that, but I think to really answer the rest of your question, it's a good brand. You're not just buying a t-shirt, you're not buying a product, but you're buying into brand. And I think with our social media presence and our marketing, we're gonna establish something that people really feel proud of wearing and create a brand that represents them. I want my customer base to feel embodied and just present with what they're wearing.
What's your experience selling apparel?
This is my first experience.
So the reason why I asked is just going back to my college days, there was always a t-shirt person, a guy, gal that gets custom shirts for every event. So there's a lot of people that you can generate a t-shirt pretty easily now. Like how are you going to differentiate your brand versus somebody else's brand?
So kind of tying into your custom apparel thing that kind of correlated with my fraternity, sorority, Greek life, marketing scheme. So I actually have connections with fraternity or sorority, just about every single major SEC and Southern school in the country. And so I think that's going to be something that really separates us. And I think from there, it's just going to be based off of how we're different. There's a lot of places that could try to adopt what we're doing after we are established in the market, but I think by then it'll be too late and we're just going to soar and take off.
So you mentioned fraternities and sororities, kind of building that, some of the design and the customer base. So what happens when the new person who joined a fraternity makes a design and it sells 5 million of them, and then they come to you and ask, "Where's my money?"
I feel like right now I feel like it's a problem I want to work with legality-wise when I get there, but I haven't really taken that into consideration.
So it may not be right, this field, this brand that you're hit, continue going. How do you continue to like pivot and try to like ask your market to see which one is the hit? How do you plan to address that?
I think a big part of it is going to be trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I also want to just talk with my market. And I think one of those should be through those event pop-up shops,
right?
Really getting face to face and having long conversations. I believe that everything should be done in a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge element of what we're going to do, is really taking feedback. And it's going to take more time and be more tedious, but the results will be phenomenal.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Big Nguyen, and I'm Gabriela, and we're here with Team Virtue. Virtue was founded in response to the problem that, like the song, Under Pressure, as a lot of high school juniors and seniors feel, the college application process is extremely overwhelming. We surveyed current high school juniors and seniors, and as you can see from our data, most of them answered that they were either moderately stressed to very stressed. Additionally, we asked them which area of college life was difficult to research. And in our research, we really wanted to hone in on these highlighted categories. While all of these categories are really important, we feel that these highlighted categories are what we call the intangibles. Things that you don't maybe see every day, things you don't think about, such as campus culture, things that can't be conveyed just through statistics. Additionally, in conducting external research, there has been a shift in how students prefer to receive communications from universities. So in the past, there was more of a seller's market mentality on behalf of the universities. This meant that they could send out generic communications and students were accepting of that. However, this has shifted now to students owning the process. While it still is okay to send out generic communications, students prefer to have relevant outreach and learn more about what their day-to-day life will be like. So we know the solution has to do two things. It needs to simplify the college search process, and it needs to provide relevant information to incoming students. Which brings us to Virtue. Virtue is a swipe-based application similar to swipe-based dating apps that we all know, with categories surrounding the social campus culture aspect. Again, it's meant to bring the campus, a college student's life, really to life for people who are going to live the experience. And to add on to that, the information is coming from college students. So who better to speak about the experience than those who've actually lived it? This information is coming from text scraping on the web, so online forums and social media already have these opinions of students that have lived this experience, and so we're aggregating that data into one place to make it convenient for incoming college students. Additionally, the app will recommend colleges to users based on their swiping preferences to help users find colleges that fit their interests. The app will be released on two versions, a freemium and a premium. Like I mentioned, the freemium is going to have categories surrounding that social campus culture aspect. Categories such as Greek life, clubs and organizations, weekend activities. Premium will encapsulate everything that freemium does and more niche categories as well. These categories are like political life, religious life as well, political climate. And these categories are an extra value add to our users because yes, there is information available online, but you have to do a little bit more digging. And yes, students can do that, but realistically, students aren't digging that deeply into universities that they're only interested in applying and not even committed to applying to yet. So again, we're bringing all of that information into one convenient spot for them. Here's an overlook of what the app will look like. So here on the right-hand side, is an overview page. So this is where students get to see what schools they've liked and disliked. So they can revisit the disliked schools to give either another chance, and revisit the liked schools to revisit the information that they initially saw so that they can apply to it later. Additionally, here we have a spot for advertisements, which I'll get into a little bit more in our business model. This middle slide here, this is the feed slide. This is essentially where students will be doing their research. They'll be swiping left and right on universities based on their preferences. Another thing that makes our app stand out is that universities don't have the opportunity to put their name above others. And so this is completely unbiased. It's giving the smaller schools, the schools that don't have the biggest name, a chance to be seen by students. This last slide on the left here is our interest tracking slide. So when students register for Virtue, they have the opportunity to fill out an optional survey that essentially asks about their interests. But some students don't know what they prefer in college, and that's fair. These are likely freshmen, sophomores, but even the upperclassmen. That's why we have these quizzes here that will help them hone down their interests and understand what they prefer in colleges, and the app will show them what the app views as their interests so that it can recommend those colleges for users. In comparison to existing alternatives, Virtue stands out because it targets what we call the intangibles. Yes, there is information out there, but it's not easy for students to access. There are online forums that are outdated in style and aesthetic, but also in information, with information from 7 years ago, which is just not relevant for incoming college students. Additionally, we have this information coming from people who have really lived the experience, and so it's tried and true information that adds value to students who will be living that day-to-day college life. And this app is also tailored towards high school juniors and seniors. And so the app is meant to be interactive and engaging and fun to not only make the college application process a little less stressful, but also a little bit more entertaining. So that brings me to our business model. I mentioned a couple of these already, starting with the premium version. With the premium version, there are features such as more niche categories as well as application features. So this includes information such as when applications are due, what college essay prompts are being asked by these applications, all relevant information that a college student who is even considering applying would want to know. Additionally, we'll have advertisements interspersed throughout the application, and we'll be engaging in affiliate partnerships with other organizations and companies in the college prep space. Lastly, and likely our largest source of revenue, will come from selling anonymized data to universities. This data is meant to help universities to tailor their marketing strategies towards their students. And so this data looks like how many students are swiping left or right on their pages, how long are students spending on those pages, and then we'll have other interactive features to track that data as well. In closing, looking at where we want to see Virtue next. So looking to the Stumberg final, things that we want to accomplish. First off, we want to launch a social media. This is more than just creating a new TikTok account or a new Instagram account. We want to create an avenue where our users can connect to us. With that, we will be gathering more information, developing our product, making sure that our minimum viable product is something that our early adopters, which would be high school juniors and seniors, can give us feedback. So by the time that we get around to updating our product, making it nice and polished right before the Stumberg final, it is something that we have had feedback from our users. So in closing, Virtue is a college search application that helps make the college search process a little less overwhelming. It makes it fun. It makes it equitable for colleges such as Trinity that maybe wouldn't be on the map of students like me that are from California that maybe would never have heard of Trinity. And we believe that with Virtue, students' futures are just a swipe away.
Love the concept. Are you scraping data or is this a two-sided marketplace?
Sorry, I don't understand your question.
So are you scraping data to gather all of the insights and all of the, data, or are you giving also students from the university the ability to onboard and then give that, right? So that's a two-sided marketplace, or are you scraping data?
So the two options that you presented are scraping data and then collecting information from the students directly.
Right.
Right. So we considered collecting data from students directly, but we figured that's a lengthy process. We don't necessarily have time for that in the accelerator. And so what we're planning to do primarily is to scrape text online. And so I have a computer science major friend who's working on a very similar project. And so he knows the process, and so he'll be helping my team out to do a very similar thing for our project as well.
And I think that is something that we do
do see in the future for Virtue is initially starting off with the basis of just scraping text, but then eventually moving on to allowing feedback directly from students that are at those universities. So that would be fairly common.
My question is centered around the cost for the premium account and also whether or not the universities will have access to having their own page created. So I know the students, of course, will have an account, but outside of that, if there's like a university that's not listed, how would they potentially become part of the app if they choose to?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'll answer the question first about the premium costs. So here we have a slide showing the different costs for the different options that students have to engage in. So there's the premium, obviously, there's the premium, which is centered around a range of $10 to $15 per month, which we haven't settled on. And so these ranges are based on other subscription-based apps that are currently out there that students are paying for. We also have a one-time fee as well, which again, haven't settled on, but between 50 to 100, and that pricing is also taking into consideration other college prep services, which can be very expensive. And so all of those data points came into considering these price points. The second question was about universities creating a page, right? So the center of this application is to allow students to see real college input from people who have lived the experience, right? And so when it comes to colleges that are maybe less known, that don't have a page, that's a valid question. That's something that we likely won't target in the beginning, since we'll be accessing the information that's already out there. But in the future, when we have more resources, we'll likely be doing more outreach to give, again, that more equitable chance to universities across the board. And so that's one of our values that we talked about, right, is making it unbiased, allowing students to have the chance to visit schools or give schools visibility that they may not originally have seen.
I think thinking about the market that you're looking at addressing juniors, seniors in high school, what do you think the realistic lifetime value is of a potential premium subscription individual? How long do you think they'll still be engaged?
So this is sort of relevant to this, so I'll pull it up. So yes, the college application process, I would say a maximum, let's just say a year and a half for those who start early. Yes, there is a certain lifetime where students will really find the college aspect of this app valuable, which is why, while we're only centered on that part for, let's just say, the next year, in the future, we can look to not just expanding our market to freshmen and sophomore by adding more educational features to get them onboarded, but not necessarily ready for the application season. We've considered that. We've also considered expanding into the career market, which is a totally different topic, totally different idea, but something that we can still expand on because it's similar. It's taking, in this case, let's just say college students who have majored and studied in something, but are still looking for a career. There's still some overlap between those, between connecting students and to something that is relevant to their future. And going off of that, talking about what Bigly's saying, specifically touching on the fact that expanding to a wider market within freshmen and sophomores in high school, we do believe that this could be a really great market for us. Additionally, because a lot of students that are in their freshman and sophomore years of high school don't even know what college is, in the sense of they don't know what they want to look for, they don't know really what the difference is between public and privates. For me, where I grew up, the local big school was UCLA, and most people didn't even know what majors were offered there. It was just what they were most familiar with. So we believe that with expanding our market to, in the future, high school freshmen and sophomore, being able to provide that education of this is what a private school is, these are things to look at, these are things to consider, that will further expand our market as well.
Questions?
I'm just trying to, because I looked up like where I went to college and just went on Reddit to see reviews from students, and it was very stereotypical of that university. So I won't name the university, but it was a lot of negative, just general statements about what the university is about. And I'm just wondering how you're going to weight that when it's usually people post negative comments, not necessarily positive or constructive. So how are you going to weight that type of generalization?
It's a valid concern. There has to be some sort of filtration to not just allow everything that anyone says online to enter through the app. And so, part of it really just depends on what's out there. But luckily we've done our own research. Gabby, it's not specific to every college I know, but So it's not just Reddit that works. There's other online forums, and yes, it is dependent on what we find out there. It is dependent on the available information, but the algorithm itself and the app itself will have filtration to not only automate the gathering of data, but to also have some sort of way to filter out not just general statements, but things that add value to potential users. It's not just saying the school sucks, it's picking out why. And yes, part of the app is also honesty. So if there are negative reviews, that's part of what the app does. It gives a holistic view of what the school is, bad and good.
Thank you.
Right. Hello, everybody. I want to make sure for those of you that care about these things that it is noted that my walk-up music was indeed Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It's important to me that you know that, so thank you. And I also want to say congratulations to all of our teams here tonight. Teams, you should be incredibly proud of your growth and discovery and your presentation skills and your ability to think on your feet as you were answering those questions. It was really impressive. We can all see how hard you've been working. And I also believe that everybody who is a success has a team of people behind them, rooting them on to success. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge all the people who are here as your cheerleaders, as your mentors, as your teachers, as your coaches, as your questioners and challengers, and as the people who pick you back up when you think you can't do much more. Can we give them a round of applause? Really happy to see some parents and families here tonight too, so definitely they're in that group. I'm proud of this program for so many reasons, but one of them is because this program really challenges our students. It challenges you to push you beyond your limits. You start with a great idea, of course, but that's maybe the easiest part, right? You have lessons in not just entrepreneurship, but also discipline, taking feedback, and leadership. You also have, as I've said, a remarkable network of people who help you through this process. And I find as we talk to people after they leave this process that those relationships are really one of the things that are most enduring. So as your entrepreneurs or whatever you do next in the so-called real world, we want you to remember that we're here for you and those relationships will be here for you too. I want to thank again our student competitors. As I said earlier, we're really proud of you. I also want to thank our judges. Thank you, judges, for lending your expertise and your time. Thank you for those amazing questions and the way you were engaging with our students. I thought the thought that was going on there was just so productive. I also want to thank all of our sponsors for their generosity. We're the beneficiary of so much generosity and kindness from our community, and to all of you, the audience, for being here with us tonight. And now, as we start to prepare for the part I know you're waiting for, to announce the final round of the competition, I would invite you, even when that finishes, to stay and enjoy each other's company and conversation and get to know more about each other here in this space. Before we announce the finalists, I'm going to call someone up to the stage, and that's going to be a name that's familiar to you. I'd like to ask Herb Stumberg Jr. to join me at the podium. Mr. Stumberg is here as a representative of the Stumberg Foundation, our very generous sponsor and the originator of this wonderful idea. And I'm sure you've already figured out the relationship between the Stumberg Venture Competition and his presence here. However, you might be interested to know a few other bits of information about my friend Herb Stumberg. Mr. Stumberg is an alumnus of Trinity University, graduating with his bachelor's degree in business administration in 1981. He is also a former chair of our board of trustees, which is a great deal of responsibility, and he's currently continuing to serve as one of the members of our board of trustees. I have to speak for the entire university, and I'm confident I do when I say how thankful we are for you, for what you've done for our entire community. Thank you, Herb. And here's a little scoop. You're going to hear something for the first time. You'll see Herb many times if you stick with this process. Again, of course, most notably in the final round of the Stumberg competition in the fall, but also, and here's the scoop, as our commencement speaker in May at this year's graduation. So pleased that he said yes to that. Mr. Stumberg, will you please help me announce the teams that will move forward in our competition?
I can't wait.
All right, I'm going to ask if the provost to also join us. Now, Okay, I was gonna say, let's get in position. This is exciting. Let's get to make sure that the order that we're going in is the same here, all right? This is what they feel like at the Oscars or something, when they have to get it all together. All right, the first announced finalist is Divi. Congratulations, Divi. Great. Congratulations. I'll come in. Okay, let's make sure we match.
I think we got it.
Okay.
Ready?
Our second announced finalist, Calibri. Third, congratulations, Virtue.
Come over and hold it. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Next, I'm pleased to announce the finalist, DoorLink. And the final announced finalist for the evening, Madhouse Game Company.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Again, I'd like to congratulate and honor all of the participants in tonight's seed round competition. And if you weren't in the finalist group, don't give up. That's the single most important rule of success in this life. Never give up. So we want to see you in other spaces and with other ideas and with other iterations of the idea you had tonight. And again, enjoy each other's company. I want to thank Carmen and the rest of the team for making sure we had such a lovely evening. And thank you again for being with us. Good night.